Hey lovelies, it's Kate and it's time for another speed build. In this speed build I'm building a modern mansion on a 50 by 40 lot in StrangerVille. On Tuesday it was time for another patch, and in this free update we received a couple of things completely for free. The update was for PC and Mac. We now have a freelancer career in the game. We also got a new desk, a bookshelf that can be placed on a wall, a white shelf finally. We're going to talk about this later in this video. And just a couple of things which is just amazing. But we also received objects that belong to StrangerVille. So when StrangerVille came out, everyone was kind of amazed by the beautiful Joshua trees and cacti that are part of the world of StrangerVille. And then we were all kind of disappointed that they didn't include these objects to the game, and then modders came to the rescue. So those of you who use CC were able to use these. Well, I am one of those people who don't use any CC. I strictly build without CC. Back in the day, I actually used CC, but then when I started this channel and started to upload to the gallery, I kind of decided against using any CC, so anyone could use my builds if they want. And now they decided to finally add those objects to the game completely for free. So if you own StrangerVille, you can now access these objects in the Buy Debug menu. I'm going to explain you guys how you can do that in case you have no idea. But yeah, we got beautiful Joshua trees and cacti and just multiple things. And this is the reason why I decided to build in StrangerVille, because obviously these objects are part of StrangerVille, they belong to the world of StrangerVille, and the good thing is that you can just make a building that you build in this world that it just really looks like it belongs. So you can really merge the build and its look with the whole landscape around it, and I think this is so cool. And for some reason, whenever I think of the desert, I kind of have to think about modern architecture for some reason. Multiple of the modern builds that I have built in the past, I built in the desert, and once again, I kind of felt like building something that's modern. And ironically enough, when I started this channel, I think the third build ever on this channel was a modern build. And then I kind of decided completely against building modern stuff. I don't know why, but I just didn't build anything modern. And then some of you requested if I could build something modern a while ago. And then you kind of, I don't know, just got me hooked to build modern things. I'm just addicted to modern architecture now. I'm very sorry that this is another modern build. Actually, I had already started to work on another build that is not modern, but then we got the patch, I saw the Joshua trees, and then it kind of just happened. So here we are, another modern build. So as you just saw, I started by building stairs in the front. To build the stairs, I simply used the terrain tool. And the cool thing is, if you just use the terrain tool, and if you are not using the new foundation options that we got, I think in November 2018, if you're building the stairs the way that I built them, you can use any type of fence really instead of a hand railing. So you don't have a fence and then you have to find a matching railing. Sometimes there isn't even a matching railing. So it just looks kind of cool to build it this way, especially if you want to use a fence that isn't as high. There's just not a chance that there's any hand railing that really matches this type of fence height. As you can see here, I decided to use a very, very low fence. Going to change a couple of things up later though. So this is how I started out, and then I decided to build a basement, and then I placed the rocks in the basement. I sized them up and then I raised them, and the reason for that is because this way you can really control how you position them, especially when you're working with these type of rocks on a slope. If you're using the regular rocks, which I really love to do to kind of hide the terrain and to hide steep slopes, then this is not a problem at all. But when you're using the new rocks that were added in the patch, the StrangerVille rocks, they kind of have a very tricky shape. These are not individual small rocks or something. This is really a cluster of rocks, and they have a very tricky shape, and it's really difficult to kind of add them to any type of terrain. This is at least what I experienced in this build. So I just decided to add a basement, and then I placed them there and raised them. This is also why I'm going to use some of the black rocks later, because the other rocks don't really match in color, and I really wanted to hide the complete terrain in the front once again. So I kind of had to use some other rocks, and I felt like that black would be a good choice because I decided to build a modern build that is generally quite dark. All my other modern builds are very bright, very light. I mean, kind of the typical white minimalistic type of architecture thing, I guess. And for this build, I really wanted to use a lot of black. I really wanted this build to look kind of dark, and I just combined some white with it. So I thought that using black rocks in the front would kind of make sense. And I also did the same thing for the front section where I used some doorways. I just placed them in the basement. I sized them up and raised them, and I just arranged them in a way that kind of looks cool. I just wanted to add a little special something to the exterior and the front. Basically, the shape of the house is quite simple. I really just started with this little box in the front, this rectangle, and then I just left a little bit of space open in the front. This is kind of like a modern patio, and the shape is quite simple, so I felt like adding these type of doorways would make it look a little bit more unique and special. And as you just saw, I created a curve in the front on the left side. There is a kind of rock pillar that is part of spot A, and you can just size it down or up, or you can just use the default size really, and you can just place them and arrange them in a curved shape. I love to do that with any type of object really. I love to create some curves sometimes, and you can simply do that by holding down Alt, clicking your mouse button, moving your mouse, and then you can really rotate objects freely. And when you are just holding down Alt without clicking your mouse button, you're moving the mouse, you can place objects freely and they don't snap to the grid. And here I'm finally adding the black rocks that I mentioned earlier, and I used a lot of them. And at this point, kind of the look of the house really starts to come together. For the windows, I used some base game windows. I think it's very cool that they have this beautiful blue tint. And again, there is just some type of contrast going on now because the build is generally really dark. And the blue just, I don't know, makes it a little bit friendlier maybe. I just also enjoy the contrast between the red of StrangerVille and the rocks that I used, and the blue just kind of makes it pop a little bit. I really like how this looks. And then I just added a roof, and here I wasn't really sure what I would like to do with that. I'm going to change that up later. And this house was built on a 50 by 40 lot, and it has 2 bedrooms, 1 master bedroom and 1 kids room. And there are 4 bathrooms. So there's 1 bathroom on the main floor, then there's another bathroom at the bottom in the gym. There's going to be a gym and a sauna. So it's really a proper mansion. There's a lot of stuff going on, and your Sims can really enjoy the rich lifestyle. And then the other 2 bathrooms belong to the bedrooms. So both bedrooms, both the master bedroom and the kids bedroom, are en suites basically. And here I'm adding a roof at the side. I just shaped it in a round shape. I just wanted the roof to look round, and then I felt like on the left side I should kind of do the same, so I just added it to the front yard, and then I decided to add some lamps to it. So this is really just a beautiful decorative object. Kind of looks weird, but I thought with the lamps on top it kind of looks cool. I don't know, I felt like when I add a roof like this on the right side, I should kind of do the same on the left side. And one of the coolest features, in my opinion, is the roof that I'm going to add on the left side at the top later. It's kind of a very cool, unique glass roof, and the Joshua trees are growing in between. There's some type of roof garden going on. I used a huge amount of Joshua trees. As I said, the update inspired me to use them, and I used a lot. And here I'm using the right shelf. So let's talk about the right shelf. So there is a very basic base game shelf, and this shelf is as basic as a shelf can be. It's just a basic shelf, and that's it. And there was no white color option. And a lot of Sims were kind of complaining about that, because for the most basic base game shelf, there should just be a white option. And there just wasn't. We just had some type of very light brown color swatch, and now we have a white one added in the last update. And you guys know that I love to use shelves on the exterior to kind of create some type of custom freeze. And so I used a lot of them here. And here I'm starting to work on the roof that I just mentioned. I had a hard time to shape it the way that I wanted to. And what was kind of really game changing for me is when you hold down Shift and C and then you hover over the roof, over the little spheres that you can see, you get some other options to shape your roof. And when I found out a couple of months ago, I was shook. So I used this method here to kind of create this very cool custom shape. And here I'm adding the Joshua trees. And I left a little gap in between the roofs, and I wanted the tree to grow in between, and I think it looks so cool. And I used the little cube that is part of Get Famous to create a frame at the roof. At first I left the roof like this, but then at the end, when I was almost done with this build, I kind of felt like the roof was lacking something, so I'm going to add another roof there later. As you will see, it just kind of looked boring to me. There was just something missing, so I'm going to work on that later. And I'm really so happy about the shelf because it's just such a basic shelf. Even if you don't like to go crazy with the shelves the way that I do on the exterior, even if you're just using them like a regular shelf on the interior, it's just such a basic, cool white shelf for any type of modern build, for any build really. And I know that a lot of people thought, oh my god, why are people going so crazy over a white shelf? That's so boring and so basic. But I think when you are a builder, then you just really enjoy the small things, especially if you're not using any CC, because you can't just go and download a white shelf, you know, you're just dealing with what the game has to offer, and a white shelf is a good thing. So here at the bottom, I decided to hide this area with a roof. I thought that it would make sense because I already used the kind of curved roof in the front, so I did the same in the back. And at this point, the whole kind of building is coming together. At first, I mostly never know what shape I'm really going for. I'm just adding bits and pieces, I'm adding more rooms, and I just kind of work out the shape, and that's what I did here. Here I'm adding a chimney, because I figured that this would just add a little bit of detail and make it look more interesting. I added some lights on the wall and just really some little details to make it look interesting and cool. I said this a million times now, but it's all about the details in my opinion. Of course, also about a kind of balanced look. When you look at it, I just kind of try to make it look balanced. But I really love to use a lot of details, and this is what makes a build look very interesting and unique most of the time. And here I'm starting to work on the garden. I decided to add a pretty classic garden, I would say. I built a pool and all that, but you will see that later. And I really like how the furniture turned out. I'm going to start with the furniture in a second, and I really tried to kind of capture this very modern, almost minimalistic kind of style, but I also try to add a lot of warmth. I try to make it look very inviting, very homey, cozy and beautiful. And this here is the kitchen. I knew that I wanted to use a lot of black again, because as you just saw on the exterior, I used so much black, and I really wanted to continue the theme on the interior so it really goes well together. And I used these little room dividers that are part of Get Famous. Usually you would just add them to a wall, so they aren't really room dividers, but to me they just look like room dividers when you're using them this way. And it just kind of divided the room a little bit, and I used normal counters for the normal kitchen space, and then on the other side, as you just saw, I added some island counters so the Sims could sit there and watch another Sim cook and just have a conversation. And this wall thingy, this wall decoration, is part of Dine Out, I think. And again, I have this wonderful contrast between a very dark black and the wonderful white going on. I also used a lot of wood because, as I said, I really wanted the interior to look very inviting, very warm. Because sometimes it can be difficult to make a very modern interior look inviting and very friendly, and I really kind of try to achieve this. I also try to include some clutter, as you will see, and here I'm using the base game shelf, but not in white, in the normal brown swatch that we already got before. And it was kind of tricky to add anything to the shelf because sometimes when you are sizing them up, it's kind of difficult and the objects aren't snapping properly, and the wall decoration that I used behind it is quite thick, so if you're placing something that's quite small and it kind of snaps in the back, it kind of disappears within the wall decoration and it's not visible anymore, or it's kind of glitching inside, and this is not a good look. So I kind of tried to just raise different objects up so they would stand on the shelf and it would look right. And here I'm also adding some shelves, just a little bit of clutter here and there. I used a lot of stuff that is part of Dine Out. Dine Out and Cool Kitchen stuff are probably the best packs if you would really like to add some kitchen related clutter, just some spices and some pots, just different things really, so it looks like a wonderful kitchen. These lamps are part of Cool Kitchen stuff, and I used this bubbling fountain wall of water thingy just to make the dining room area look modern, minimalistic, and kind of sophisticated, because this whole house is kind of over the top. The whole exterior is over the top, and I really wanted the interior to be kind of over the top as well. But I really tried to kind of find a middle ground so it's not completely crazy. I still wanted this to look like a realistic, not realistic, I mean, maybe realistic. Some crazy mansions out there look completely crazy, so it's kind of realistic, but I guess you know what I mean. I still wanted this to look like a beautiful, cozy, homey interior so that it would be fun to actually play in this, so it doesn't look like a UFO on the inside or something. And I think that the wood really helps with that look. It really makes it look so warm and more cozy, and it just kind of added more and more stuff here. These curtains, I think that these are base game curtains actually. Also, there are some important news in the world of The Sims 4. We finally got a new community manager. So during the last, I think, 6 weeks, we didn't really have an active community manager, and no one really knew what would happen, if SimGuru Kate would remain a community manager, if she would come back and be active again, or if we would have a new community manager at some point. And yesterday, SimGuru Lindsay informed us that SimGuru Frost is now our community manager. He moved over from The Sims 4 Mobile to The Sims 4, and now he's going to take care of that. In case you have no idea, maybe you aren't active on Twitter or anything, because this is kind of where all of that stuff happens and where the gurus connect with other creators and other simmers. The community manager is the person who takes care of the community, who is kind of connecting The Sims 4 with the community, who is passing on any type of news. The community manager is also the person who takes care of the Game Changer program and usually takes care of giveaways and all that kind of stuff. And now SimGuru Frost is the new community manager. We are all very excited that we finally got a community manager again, because honestly during the last weeks there was just something missing, and now we have a community manager. I don't really want to address all the stuff that happened back then, which was just kind of tragic. I'm just happy that we can now all move on. We have a community manager, and I'm sure that he's going to make a great job, and I can't wait to see what's going to come. The next 6 months are going to be very intense and exciting in the Sims 4 community, because as they announced in the last Maxis Monthly live stream, we are going to have 1 expansion pack, 1 game pack, and 1 stuff pack within the next 6 months. And it's very good that we now have an active community manager, because there are going to be a lot of news about The Sims 4, and it's just very interesting to see what's to come. I'm really excited for the next 6 months. So let's just see what happens and what kind of stuff we get. I'm personally, this is just a speculation. I have obviously no idea. How would I? But I'm pretty sure that we're going to get university within the next 6 months. This is just my personal guess for the expansion pack, because everyone is kind of demanding it. And before that, everyone was kind of demanding, before Get Famous, everyone was demanding cats and dogs and seasons and all that, and we really got that. Get Famous was kind of a surprise, so who knows, maybe there's going to be another surprise, but I don't think so. I personally don't expect another surprise after the last surprise, basically. I really think that we might get University, or maybe not. Maybe they just try to squeeze in something different. Maybe something, oh my god, this would be amazing. I would love to have something that's kind of island related, something like Island Paradise in The Sims 3. I don't know. I'm either way very excited for what's to come. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think is going to be the next expansion pack. Personally, I'm also very excited for the game pack, because I think that game packs have the most exciting content, because expansion packs, you sometimes can really figure out what might come. I mean, I'm pretty sure that at least at some point we are going to get University, and the stuff packs aren't that exciting because they're just small stuff packs and they're great for what they are, but they're just stuff packs. But game packs, they are kind of the real surprise. They include new worlds oftentimes. They aren't very small, they aren't huge either, but they have new worlds and lots of gameplay aspects and objects, and you never know what's to come. I mean, who would have thought that we would have something like Spa Day or Jungle Adventure or StrangerVille? You know, the game packs are just very surprising, and I really enjoy game packs, kind of, and I'm really curious what's to come within the next 6 months, and that's very ambitious of them. It's just amazing. Expansion pack, game pack, stuff pack, just so much amazing stuff. So exciting. Also, oh my god, I forgot to mention this earlier. I wanted to talk about the by debug menu. You just have to open the cheat console and enter bb.show hidden objects. Then you go to the search bar, you enter debug, click on it, and then you can also sort by pack. So if you want to access the new StrangerVille objects, you just filter by StrangerVille and you will see them. You can also enter the cheat, then go to the section where you can see all the trees and bushes and all that stuff, and then they will just appear there. So you don't actually have to search for them in the debug menu. I just remembered, so you can just find them there. Okay, so now here I'm furnishing the kids' room. I really tried to make it look modern, as I said, just like the whole interior. So I used this beautiful wallpaper that has some trees on it, and it looks very modern. I think it's actually part of Get Together, but I could be wrong. And it's just such a beautiful sun-flooded room. It's so bright, it's so friendly. And it's quite big. You could really squeeze in another bed in there if you would like to. I mean, the house is quite big, but there are only 2 bedrooms because, I don't know, really wanted to have some big, spacious, luxurious bedrooms, but there is plenty of space if you would like to include some bedrooms yourself. Also, the gym at the bottom is quite big, as you will see, so you could also kind of modify that if you would like to. As always, of course, this house is available in the gallery. I'm going to include all the information down below. And here I'm working on the garden, so I really wanted to have a section where the Sims could just sit and just have a barbecue or something. And then I also wanted to have a pool section, and I really wanted to include a lot of the new trees and plants that we got in the update, because as I said, I really plan to use a excessive amount of Joshua trees and all the new stuff. So I used a lot of them, and I just kind of made some type of flower bed all around the garden. And here I just used a glass roof, so there would be some type of roof above the barbecue area, whatever you would like to call it. I really wanted to include a roof just so I would be able to really section off this area. So it's really just this area, and then I just added the pool area. So it's just kind of separated basically. And the flower beds, I also used the new rocks that we got. I really love them. The cool thing is that one of the 2 rocks is just very long, so they're just perfect to be placed in any type of flower bed. They just have this very long shape and just perfect with that. And I just combined 2 glass tables for this, so there would be a lot of space if you have a lot of guests over. And then I just added a little foundation next to the pool just to make it look more unique. I mean, this doesn't really serve any purpose really. I could have just created a regular path, but I just figured that this would look kind of cool, that there's just some foundation next to the pool, and I just added more details, some lamps in the floor, and also monkey bars and a swing set, just different things, and some planting pots, really just some details. And I eventually also decided to change the roof, as I said, and then in the end I am going to furnish the gym finally. I think that the gym is just a cool thing, a cool feature for a build like this, because when you have a mansion, you really want it to look and feel like a mansion, and a gym or anything like that really kind of makes sense for a build like this. And here I added the roof, and I think this really looks so much better than before. There was just something missing in my opinion. And then I rearranged the rocks. This was kind of tricky to really work out the front section with all these rocks and the roofs. There was just so much going on in this build. I then added some columns in the back because I felt like there was something missing. And I indeed at first forgot to add a front door, which is kind of stupid. But yeah, then I remembered that I should add a front door, so I did that. But yeah, at first I completely forgot. I just added all these windows in the front. And then in the end I remembered. And this is the gym. I used the bamboo and just lots of little details. Again, kept them modern. And this beautiful rock is part of the fitness stuff pack. I also added some yoga mats to the garden because there was just no space in the gym anymore. So this is it, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. As I said, you can find all the information in the description box in case you want to download this lot in the gallery. I would like to say thank you so much for watching. In case you're celebrating Easter, I would like to say happy Easter. I hope you have a amazing Easter, and either way, even if you're not celebrating Easter, I hope that you have a absolutely fantastic weekend, and I really hope that I see you in the next video. Bye bye.